Hi, I'm Ben with Teleport, and in this short video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of a new feature in Teleport 7. In Teleport 7, we've introduced application access for AWS Management Console. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's a very powerful feature. So what this lets you do is it lets Teleport give the ability to sign into your AWS account with different IAM roles. So you can connect to multiple AWS accounts at one time, use Teleport's RBAC, and then all of these actions are recorded currently in CloudTrail because each time you assume a role in AWS, it always records the action. So the easiest way to kind of introduce this, I'm going to just show you a quick demo. Here I have my cluster. I have a range of AWS accounts that I use, but this one only gives me access to CloudWatch. So in this scenario, you could just use GitOps for all of your infrastructure, but maybe you want to look at the metrics. By using Teleport, you can provide very fine-grained access to just the service that you want. So here I have, it's going to take directly to CloudWatch, but if I go to EC2, for example, I'll get an API error because I've only given access to the very specific role of CloudWatch for this scenario. Okay, so and then you can see here, it's federated login. This is the IAM role, and then this is my Teleport user, Ben admin. So here we have documentation about how you can set this up and configure it. I'm going to go through a few steps in this video, but I'm not going to do a complete setup of this sort of tutorial, getting started guide, but there's a few sort of gotchas and interesting bits to set up. One of the easiest way to explain this is I'll use this diagram. So Teleport needs a auth and proxy. If you're new to Teleport, I recommend checking our Getting Started guide. This will be sort of the central brains of the authentication and login for users. I'm using GitHub as an SSO provider. Then I have an app service, which is Teleport running in a app mode. And this just proxies the connection to other applications. So I have like Grafana here and Jenkins. And then in Teleport 7, we added AWS Console. And then we have IAM roles, which can both assume access and log in to AWS on your behalf. And then we're also using IAM roles to link back to Teleport to provide access. So here we have my main AWS account, but I also have access to multiple other AWS accounts. And this trusting of this account where I have Teleport will let you log into these other accounts. So the first thing you need to do is, if you have a role that you want to provide access to, in my example, it was a CloudWatch in my personal account. When you create that role, you need to provide federated assume role login. And so when you add that role, you need to say AWS can have the action of assume role. I can show you actually what this looks like. Okay, I had to log into my sort of what I call my personal AWS account, which is just my own account. And I'm going to just show you how you create this initial role, which is used for IAM role trust. So here I'm going to create a new role. And instead of using AWS service, I'm going to do add another AWS account. And then this account ID is where you have the Teleport root cluster setup and the app service. So I know in my case, this is the account ID. You can also get this from the top menu, but this account ID is different. And then you add permissions. So this is where you would sort of like, you can either stack all your permissions into one role or split out your roles. It really depends upon how you want to configure access. So if I wanted to add, let's see, S3 read-only access, I can add this role. We'll just add a quick tag. Teleport demo, so let's clear this up later. And then name, S3, read only. And this role name will show up in the Teleport UI in the dropdown, so you know which role you're sort of logging into and what you can do. Then when you create this role, if I come in here, this is going to be used later. And I'll show you how you can use this role on at a later time. Okay, so this is this IAM role trust relationship that we've just set up. Next thing you need to do is let teleport assume these roles. When we say teleport to assume these roles, in my case, I have this dedicated app service. So we're letting this EC2 instance assume the roles that you have been given. So all it is, allow STS assume role, and then you can also provide more fine-grained restrictions, or you can just use a wildcard. Next up, you need to configure teleport IAM for role mapping. So if I come into my teleport role, you see I've created a dedicated AWS Console access role. And in my role, I have AWS roll-ons, and I have several here from multiple accounts. Let's actually just grab this one that we just created. You may have to log in and out again to get this into your account. Next up, you need to register the AWS console in Teleport. So this is the app service. You give it a name and the URI. One pretty cool thing is you can change the location of this. So in my setup, different places. So you can see for my dev role dev, I go to CloudWatch, and then my two other accounts, I drop into the EC2 account. So if there's a specific service you want to provide fine-grained access to, this is sort of a shortcut. And then I've added some labels. You need to add the AWS account associated with the console. And then the labels are very useful. For example, you can tell quite quickly that this account will give you access to these services. And then we have information about multiple accounts. And then lastly, we can connect to the AWS console with the assumed role. So once you've started the teleport app service, they should appear in this list. Let me log out and back in again. Okay, so in this list, you can now see I have a teleport S3 read only. So if I click this, you can see I have S3 read only. All of this is showing API errors. And if I go to S3, I should be able to view the buckets. And I have 15 buckets, and you can I can see here, but if I was to create a bucket, and there you can see. So say it failed to create, but access has been denied. So it may provide you some UI actions, but when you actually try and interact with the API, it won't let you. Okay, so this sort of brings me to the end of the initial sort of demo setup of teleport application access. One of the powerful features of using sort of federated access and assuming roles is a lot more of that, nearly all of that activity is recorded in CloudTrail. And this can provide very useful event logging and debugging to figure out what happened during that session. Currently, all this information lives within CloudTrail, but we're currently exploring importing this into Teleport so you can integrate it into your standard SIAM solutions. So I can give you an example of what that looks like as well. I had to log into a administrative access account because all of my IAM roles had limited me, but you can see here I have CloudTrail set up on this account, and this is me logging in as Bennett Go Teleport, but this is my Teleport username that I've logged in, and I've had a console login. This brings me to the end of the demo of AWS Console Access. If you have any questions or comments, please hit us up on our GitHub discussions or our Slack forum. Thanks for watching.